Yuji Itadori is about to become a monster. The anticipation of Yuji's power-up has been speculated all the way back in season 1 when Gojo told us that Yuji will gain Sukuna's curse technique. But what we didn't know is he'll become Kirby, whereby eating cursed objects he would gain a significant increase in his strength. But what if I told you that's not all? Because his mindset change will also be key to the ascension of the demon god Yuji Itadori, Kenjaku's ultimate creation. Yuji Itadori is Kenjaku's masterpiece. Before whatever the merger shows, being able to ingest cursed objects without being taken over by the host is ridiculous and shows how much work has been put into Yuji. In comparison, Kenjaku's opinion of Choso and his brothers are those deemed as failures, compared to Yuji has stated praise, whether that was end of Shibuya where he tells Yuji he expects great things from him, or even when moving the students from Yuji outside the Culling Game barrier, he thanks them for getting along with his son, which shows a degree of satisfaction in his ultimate creation. But this could be his future downfall, with the ability to grow exponentially by consuming cursed objects. The first showcase of this is him inhabiting Sukuna, which has led him to have Sukuna level cursed energy while being able to ingest other cursed objects without Sukuna killing them. In an interview, it was stated if a death painting was consumed while he has Sukuna, Sukuna would kill them, indicating more complications of the body and the soul. However, if that's not the case, he would gain the cursed energy from the death paintings, and what we can infer, potentially the cursed technique of said death painting. Now, why do I say the cursed technique? Well, let's use the evidence we have in the series. When Choso's brothers were incarnated with the human, he took over the body and had access to their cursed technique. In addition, the Culling Game has regular people ingested cursed objects, which led them to have full control of the host and their cursed technique aligned. Now, Yuji's case is a little bit more special, so he can take control. However, due to ingesting the cursed objects, potentially a similar principle should occur, which allowed him to have access to Cleave and Dismantle and blood manipulation. On top of that, Shoko said he's drenched in Sukuna's cursed energy. And if we take that at face value, Sukuna had 15 fingers before switching to Megumi's body. So does this imply that Yuji has 15 fingers levels of cursed energy on top of the death painting's cursed energy? This will cause him to become an even bigger monster. Now let's discuss the potential blood manipulation power, because the death paintings are in reference to an actual death paintings and to give us a workthrough on how Yuji can get stronger. For some lore, the death paintings originate from Buddhist paintings, and they represent the 9 stages of death. Each painting has a theme attached, and for example, Eso is skin sores and breaks, which fits with the theme of a rot technique. The other death paintings as shown on the screen can give us an idea of the potential curse technique he can inhabit from the base curse technique, which is blood manipulation. However, variations such as an animal shikigami to fit the consumption by animals, the reduced to skeleton, could indicate some hardening ability, which could strengthen Yuji's already physical body. And the last one that intrigues me a lot is decomposing of the body. Now I thought about this and I wondered, how could I spin this to be something useful? Could he reduce his body to a gas state and become Caesar from One Piece? And this is where I concluded, I am tweaking. Instead, since it has something in reference to skin, could have potential healing curse technique and would prevent the biggest weakness of blood loss. Of course, I did not touch some of the other paintings because I could not find a technique to actually align them with Yuji, and if this is the case that we go, I do believe the different variations of blood manipulation will be extremely interesting. Now to conclude on the variations of blood manipulation. The most important thing to show is that the way Yuji uses blood manipulation will be completely different to the current users of Choso and Kamo. This is for a few reasons. 1. Yuji's fighting style is focused on close combat, meaning even with a curse technique it won't have a drastic change, especially with a lack of time on focusing on a new fighting style. However, it will make him less predictable and will allow him to use different combinations. Secondly, Yuji does not have the time to master the curse techniques such as Choso, to the extent that he'll become a master blood manipulator, which means his combat focus will still be reliant on punching and kicking. But in my opinion, this is a good thing, and will allow him for some nice combos and things that can boost his already simplistic fighting style. Red Stack being able to increase his perception will benefit his fighting style heavily, as well as in tandem something like convergence used in the fist can cause his non-black flash hits to become even more dangerous. Now, since this is focused on fighting style, I want to include the potential other technique that has been foreshadowed, and that is Sukuna's curse technique of Shrine. Currently we know he uses Cleave and Dismantle, and us as the audience assume the flames is a part of his curse technique. But more than just that, there is still a lot more that can come from his curse technique. But the importance of Yuji using it lies into a few reasons. Well, one, look at Yuji. That boy is not built to use Cleave and Dismantle in the same manner, and he doesn't look like the type of person to just start slashing people. In addition, he doesn't have Sukuna's level of mastery to use the curse technique. And I mean, this was emphasized even more when Sukuna used 10 shadows, which means variations are needed for him to maximize the utility of the curse technique. Now, one thing that intrigued me is the use of Cleave as a spider web and on the surface. In my opinion, that could be perfect with Yuji's fighting style, the end of his punches using Cleave and Dismantle to in essence cut up the person's body for added damage makes his general hand-to-hand combat insane. Imagine different punching variations. Using blood manipulation or Cleave and Dismantle, this guy would be a hand-to-hand monster while adding it potentially to his kicks as well. Moreover, it fixes the biggest issue of him dramatically changing his fighting style to make use of the curse technique. A curse technique's maximum usage comes from curse energy knowledge and the user's own creativity, and is why my power-up theories have been focused on things that will aid his already specific combat style rather than hinder it. Now here is the biggest game changer of it all, and it's the soul book Yuki gave. The soul has been hinted to be a significant factor in JJK. In specific, Mahito showed us how finding the true shape of your soul can lead to growth. Of course, this is due to Mahito's curse technique impacting the soul, but his comments on Sukuna gives extra validation of the importance of the soul. Mahito says Jogo has more curse energy than the three-fingered Sukuna at the time, but his soul is on another level, and we saw Sukuna be able to bypass his domain expansion due to some level of soul hacks. But what is the importance of this? Understanding one's soul seems to directly lead to the user becoming stronger, and of course with Mahito his technique shaped his worldview and he had the mindset to grow. But Sukuna poses an interesting workthrough for Yuji if the soul book becomes significant, whether that is understanding your own curse technique, your own curse energy, or even the mindset of oneself. The potential of the soul book adds another direction for growth, and the bigger emphasis from Gege about the soul does bode well for something special for Yuji to inherit. Moreover, it can further solve the biggest mystery surrounding the soul in the series, and for my stocks of Yuji defeats Sukuna, it could be the key to the final piece of Sukuna's downfall. Now, since I'm talking about looking into oneself, the mindset growth for Yuji is important to his overall growth. But before I touch on that, I think for Yuji to really understand blood manipulation, we may see a similar moment such as Maya Maki, but with Yuji and the death paintings. If the theory of Yuji gaining the knowledge of their curse technique, they'll be able to have a conversation and guide Yuji into using the curse technique. More so than that, through solitude can one understand themselves, and this sets up perfectly for Yuji to have a mindset to let him transcend in strength. We've currently seen a more focused Yuji that now does not have the burden of Sukuna living inside of him. He declared that he'll eat anything to defeat that creep, which bodes well to the use of Cleave and Dismantle, as he has a clean goal he wants to reach. However, like mentioned, a monologue of him also wanting to live will give more cadence to Gojo's words of fighting to win, or winning even when dying more stock, and we can really see a completely different Yuji than we've ever seen before. Moreover, it sets up nicely for him to fulfill his promise to Megumi and to save him. It's also poetic that three of our main casts, Gojo, Megumi, and Yuji, all end up inhabiting a curse technique from the big three clans. In specific, Kenjaku's potential downfall coming from the clan he toyed with and the supposed failures he caused would give a great level of satisfaction, and my boy Yuji will beat the no bag allegations.